voice that was very human at heart, but which had a kind of humor, a sly humor, a satirical humor that, poked fun at certain types of people or certain attitudes. I mean, the Cookie Monster, I remember running around the house yelling "Cookie," because that was a certain aspect of people. So he was, in a way, using puppetry and television, kind of an American author.
An irony in the fact that suddenly in 1969, he became associated with the greatest children's hit in the history of television. Puppeteers traditionally are always, certainly in this society, are always automatically pigeonholed as children's performers. And it was exactly what Jim didn't want.
We would go to ad agency to ad agency with the black boxes and audition, or they would come to our studio and we would audition for them, and they would always say, gee, I wish Bill was here to see this. And we had to do it again for Bill. And then Bill would say, gee, Bob's the one who's got to see this. We do it again for Bob. And nobody bought it because they thought the Muppets were just for kids.
It's Saturday Night Live.
Lorne Michaels came to Jim and asked him to be part of Saturday Night Live.
A much-told story about how this show was taken around all three of the American networks, who had no idea what to do with it.
I remember Jim taking me aside there in NBC and saying that we just got 24 half-hour shows guaranteed to do in London. It was great because basically he had his electric train. He could play.
I say 1, 2, play me do, let me sound as sweet as you. Play me wide, play me long, let me be your song.
But I think what he was probably most known for was the silly and fun and clean and innocent and childlike, naive and pure. That's not all Jim was.
I think having started with the simplicity of the Muppets and the utter simple charm, even in terms of color and harmonies and language, everything was simple and beautiful. The size of it was right. It was Jim. But I think in him, and obviously it's so, by the films that he produced, that there was a darker, cavernous place he was busting to get to.
Jim was really intrigued by the work of the British illustrator Brian Froud, and he wanted to translate Froud's visual ideas to 3 dimensions, which became the basis for the film The Dark Crystal. He wanted to go off and push that envelope, and whether it's successful or not, he just wanted to do it.
I wanted to create the world first. I wanted to start with a visual world of what these characters looked like and what the whole place was. Plants, trees, rocks, all of that, and then have the story grow.
Like all coming-of-age stories, The Dark Crystal gives the young hero a task much greater than he thinks he's capable of. It's the test he must face, not just to find his way in the world, but to find himself.
Master? What's wrong?
You are in danger. The Skeksis will vow to destroy you. For the prophecy says you must find the shard. The crystal shard.
The crystal shard?
To save our world.
But Master, I'm only a gelfling.
I should have told you these things long ago. Now it is up to you.
Master.
I remember going to a screening in Universal with the executives for the first time, showing them Dark Crystal. And the movie went on, for an hour and a half, whatever it took. And the movie went off. It was dead silence. The executives walked out the room, didn't say a thing to Jim or me. And he really felt lousy then. He just stood up and walked out. Not a word was spoken after 2-3 years in this movie.
Because all artists are pigeonholed. Everybody, whatever they do for a living, they're pigeonholed. You're a TV guy, you're a book illustrator, or you're a painter. You're a musician, you're a dancer. And there should be a dancer who is a painter. Ay, mamma mia, what are you going to do with this person? He agreed with me about the frustration of being pigeonholed in that way. And although Jim was kinder and gentler than me, hurt him very much. He could have stayed with this stuff forever. But that he struggled, and he was honest in his struggle. He never pretended that he knew how to get there. None of us know how to get there.
He's primarily a creature of television, Jim. I think he was formed out of that tradition and inspired by that tradition. But when he did go into film, he used, again, that same attitude towards technology, as technology being a friend, basically. And he was a very much more quiet kind of person about what he was doing. And I realized that he was at the same level we were in terms of use of electronics for film. So he very quietly was a real technological innovator.
It's fun for us to try to do these things which are quite complicated technically. At the same time, I'm not sure it does anything that much better than, you know, the old sock puppets, which are like Kermit. So it's two different kinds of things.
Ain't it? Now, would you go left or right?
And I think the more technical stuff probably is more interesting to me than to a lot of the audience. But on the other hand, it does enable us to do different kinds of things and things that we've never.
And didn't do well, and had taken such a substantial amount of his time and energy, I think he punished himself a little bit, which is natural if you've done a string of pretty much only successes for years and years and years. I think that was a hard time for him. It was a very hard time.
But he always had this optimism. He always felt it was going to be okay. He always thought it was going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And he was discouraged, sure. But he was extraordinary. He was such a realist and an optimist at the same time.
His vision was a very simple one about life and about people, and a very honest one. The vision of the world of Muppets and the world of Dark Crystal and the world of Labyrinth and world and world and world. You know, how many worlds can one guy have in his head? But he had a lot. And they were still coming fast and furious.
No!
Coward!
What's the cat of the day? Persian.
Long hairs make you cough, Rusty. We'll just split a diet, Tabby.
Got it.
You know the rules. No cash, no kibble.
Let's take one of our regular characters. Say, for example, Gonzo. Gonzo doesn't have real hands.
Did not have real hands? Wait a minute. That's a ludicrous thing to say. This man is deranged. Of course I have real hands.
So what are you gonna do, Milton?
Well, I guess I'll just have to go where no toad has gone before. Find someplace far away from here where I can sing my song without having to worry about the uprights.
Despite the unsubstantiated rumors that there is a glitch in the system. No, it's Crasher. It looks like he's trying to break out.
What?
Morning! You done the bugger. Huh? You done the bugger.
Look! Hey, that's me! And my mom! And Dad? My mom and Dad.
He tried never to repeat himself ever in his career, and I think he was, stunning at that, in always breaking new ground.
When people told themselves their past with stories, explained their present with stories, foretold the future with stories, the best place by the fire was kept for the storyteller.
The Storyteller series was in so many ways a culmination of everything that my father had been striving for. He and his collaborators in England combined all of their craft and technology and imagination to explore traditional folk tales with their layers of meaning, and out of that they created fables for a modern audience.
One of the two or three best things that Jim ever did, they're told in a style with a mix of puppets and people that is absolutely unique. I don't think anybody has ever done storytelling quite like this.
And lying there, half sweetness, half cherry pie, the princess could hardly credit what she'd see. But creeping to the window, she looked down, and there, sure enough, a man moving among the animals in the quiet rain. And she found herself going to the abandoned coat of hair and quills, and touching it, soft and warm.
Sir, I woke and you had gone, and left behind you your coat of quills.
Which would you have for husband? The man or the creature?
I have a husband, sir, and he is what he is. No more and no less.
Then forgive him, madam, if he returns to his skin. For I am enchanted and cannot leave it. But if you say nothing of this for a third night, then loyal love will break the spell forever.
I promise.
Sleep well?
Yes, thank you.
Not troubled by the creature?
No, Mother. And please don't speak of him as a creature.
He's told you, hasn't he?
No, really, he hasn't.
And, does he take off his skin?
No, he doesn't.
The only way to break the spell is to throw the skin into the fire. Cast the skin into the flames and he will be free of it.
That's not the way.
So, he has told you.
To the health of that most beautiful woman who could not keep her promise for one more day.
Husband.
How did you find me?
I have walked the world to find you, and have worn out the soles of 3 pairs of iron shoes. My hair is no longer red.